Christie get beat back. Christie get beat, even Christie get beat out of office. Christie was beaten by Reese Chipman, I think by 4 votes, all right? And the Hubert Minnis administration took over. And when the Minnis administration took over, they hadn't been in office good yet before they raised VAT from 7.5% to 12%. That's what they did. They raised VAT from 7.5% to 12%, all right, under the Minnis administration. At that time, when they raised VAT, they had turmoil within the party because there were some MPs who did not agree with the government taking the position that they did in terms of VAT. Because they felt that they should have, while they didn't have an issue with VAT, with the VAT increase, they had an issue with not being able to go to their constituents and say, listen, this is what's happening, this is why what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. They didn't get that opportunity. All of a sudden, Hubert Minnis and Hubert Minnis, who was the incompetent authority, who thought he was Lord and God of all, decided, you know what, they can bully their way through, and that is what they did. And as a result, VAT went from 7.5% to 12%. That was a 4% increase. Okay, 4.5% increase. And what was interesting with that is, at that time, you had some men who stood up. Vaughn Miller was one who stood up. Frederick McAlpine was one who stood up. Travis Robinson was one who stood up. And Reese Chipman was one who stood up. Now, Reese vanished into political oblivion. Frederick McAlpine was fired by his by Pinewood, that's right, that's Pinewood, whichever area, I think it's Pinewood where he was from. But mind you, he didn't get beat bad. He only lost by a couple of votes because, of course, he had the COI who was knocking out everybody with a couple of votes. So the COI really played a pivotal role in knocking the FNM out in that last election. And Frederick McAlpine was one of those persons who lost by that. Vaughn Miller went on to join the PLP, the late great Vaughn Miller, and he was re-elected. He joined the re-elected, and he ended up becoming the Minister of Environment, and he ended up dying in office. So Jennifer's correcting me. It's not Pinewood, it's Pine Ridge. All right, so yeah, Frederick McAlpine was in Pine Ridge. So Vaughn Miller ended up dying in office as Minister of the Environment, and then Travis Robinson went back like a dog to his vomit. Because I always remember when Travis Robinson, when they did that, and all of these MPs left Parliament, they were all fired. I think they were parliamentary secretaries, and they were all fired by Hubert Minnis because they stood against the party's decision. They took a stand for their people, and they all returned to their communities, to their constituents, and they returned in a triumphant mood, and the constituents were ready to work with them and to make some changes and to do some things and to fight for some things. And Frederick McAlpine stayed the course, even though he lost the election. I don't know what really happened to Reese Chipman. Vaughn Miller bent over to the PLP, like I said.